Hey, what's up guys? rcinginsc here today. Guys, what I want to do is basically just update you on this WLToys 12428. I know this probably doesn't interest a lot of you guys that are just strictly quad guys, and that's fine. But about a year ago, I did a video where I took this car right out of the box. I didn't even drive it. Bone stock, stripped it down and modified it to a certain extent. And then I made a video about it and I labeled it highly modified with a picture of it. And since then that video has gotten, I think it just passed 30,000 views, which is amazing guys, absolutely amazing. I never in my wildest dreams thought there'd be that much interest in a tour grade slash hobby grade car that just, you know, been modified with some stuff. But it has, and I think a lot of my subs came on board simply because of this. And all of the comments have been extremely positive and a lot of interest in it and how I did certain things. And one comment that I get is, how did you do this or how did you do that? I'd like to see more. Well, there has been a lot more. It's been a year ago since I posted that video, and almost everything has actually changed since that video. So today guys, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go over the thing from back to front, top to bottom, and just show you what's been done since the original upgrade. And I'm not going to get into any details on how I did it because those videos have already been made, and I will post a link in the description below for the entire playlist. So if there's something that interests you, go check out the link, click on the video that interests you, and you can see more detail about it. But in the meantime, we're going to go through this and hopefully it'll just inspire you like other people's videos have inspired me as well. So let's go through it real quick, and hopefully you'll get something out of it. Alright guys, so just so you know, I am reading off a list because there is so much stuff that I have done to this car. I did not want to forget anything, so if it sounds like I'm reading off a list, I am. I have it here next to me, right there. Anyway, I'm going to kind of use it as my cheat sheet so I don't forget anything. And so I'm trying to go through this in a logical order. So let's start with maybe some of the things that were done in the original video. As I said, I took this car and I stripped it down to nothing. I took everything out of it, painted the roll cage, and really, other than painting it, the only thing I've done to the actual chassis was I cut this back here off that used to have the spare tire sitting on it. I just didn't like it. It's just a matter of personal preference, but I thought it was unneeded weight, and plus it stuck out to the point where if I backed up against something, it would get hung up before the wheels could, you know, drive up over something. So I felt like it was just more important to have that cut off. And that way, if I was up against an obstacle like my hand right here, I could just easily drive over it. So, and that's worked out pretty good. Other than that, that's really the only modification that I've actually done to the chassis itself. Now, as far as the body goes, in the original video, I did not have these aluminum body panels. Guys, this was nothing but more just aluminum trim, the same kind of trim that you can buy for your house, that trims around your eaves and around gutters and things like that. That's all this is. I made a video on this. It's in the playlist as well. If you want to know how I made these body panels, go check that out. That was also not in the original video. Another thing that wasn't in the original video was these LED lights. This kind of came in multiple stages. The first thing I did was these 4 on the top. These lights are super bright. So I've linked the product description and the link to those in that playlist as well. So if you want to know how to get these lights, I think I got them off Amazon. But that was the first phase. I put them on top, and then later down the road, when I decided to add a rear camera, which we will get to, I wanted some backup lights. So now I bought 4 more of these lights. So I put 2 on the rear, which are rear backup lights, and 2 on the front to replace the 2 that were still originally in it. So now everything is full, you know, LED super bright lights with the rear backup lights. So that was one thing I didn't do in the original video. Link in the description for that video as well. Wheels, hub extenders. These wheels I found on Banggood. I think they're 100 millimeter by 50 millimeter. And inside here, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, it does have hub extenders. I think those are 20 millimeters. That's kind of what gives it its nice wide stance, which makes it look pretty cool in my opinion. It does help with the ability for it, you know, to keep it lower its center of gravity, and it doesn't seem to hurt the performance at all. Now, as far as the suspension, as you can see, I pretty much replaced every single component with metal or aluminum. So all the control arms, the steering knuckles, the rear control arms that you can see here in the back, the rear links, all the shocks, front links, suspension links, everything has been replaced. All the links are adjustable. I definitely recommend that. If there was somebody actually asked me, you know, what upgrade would I recommend first, I said the adjustable links right off the bat, because it comes with plastic links that are non-adjustable, and they're not even set right. It had like a whole lot of toe out, and it was just horrible. So that's an absolute must upgrade for this car. Probably any RC car that doesn't have adjustable links already, you got to get the adjustable links. Secondly, let's talk about the motor ESC combination. Let me get the top of this thing off. Okay guys, one of the things I did, just as since I have to open the lid anyway, was these screws. I drill some holes down through these little standoffs and have it where I can just put 2 screws in it, and that's the only thing that actually holds the body on. So I unscrew these 2 screws right here, and I can just simply open the lid. It gives me full access to under the hood, underneath here, and underneath here. So as far as I had a lot of questions about the motor and ESC combination. Guys, I think this is nothing more than a Gould RC BL motor, excuse me, BL motor. It's a 3665 3100 kV motor, has a 60 amp ESC. This motor here also has a 5mm output shaft, so I had to get a different pinion gear for it. That pinion gear was kind of hard to find. I did link that in that particular video. If you do want to upgrade to a brushless motor, 3665 is the biggest motor you can get in here. I did a full explanation on that and why that's the biggest motor. Go watch that video. But you can't do it with this particular motor without that gear, because it is 5mm shaft. The original is only 3.1 whatever it is, you know, 1/8 shaft, and so you can't use that particular gear on this motor. As far as the receiver goes, this thing has had multiple receivers in it. In the original video, what I did is I had a Fly Sky 3-channel receiver, and let's see, let me grab. I was using this radio, and I showed this radio. It's been modified with a 4-watt booster on it, and it had really good range. I never even maxed it out. I never could find the end of the range. I didn't have a road long enough to find out what its range really was, but it would easily go 500 meters, which is pretty good ways. But then I upgraded it to a RD4 Fly Sky receiver, which is a full telemetry receiver, which now I'm running off my Tyrannus QX7. So I have a lot more flexibility on what I can do with the radio, and I'll cover that a little bit more in a minute. But since then, I upgraded it to now, which is a R8D or D8 RD8 receiver, which gives me 8 channels to do pretty much whatever I need to do. As a matter of fact, I'm using 6 channels. I still have 2 free channels if I want to do some more upgrades. This is also a full telemetry receiver, has the diversity antennas on it, and that's pretty much as far as the receiver, radio, and all that goes. Okay, as I mentioned, this is an 8-channel receiver, and I told you that I was using 6 of the channels. Obviously, I'm using the steering. I believe that is my channel 1. The ESC is my channel 2. The top mounted lights, I have that controlled, and I'll show you how in just a second. These lights right here are controlled on channel 3. My camera switching, which I want to switch from the front to the rear camera, that's on channel 4. My rear backup lights are on channel 5. And I have a horn, which is just a small little beeper that you can usually would put on a quad or something like that. That is on my channel 6. How I control that, guys, let's see if I can get this, zoom in just a little bit here. Hopefully that's going to be good enough. And something to point with. If you can see these guys right here, there's actually 4. I think you can only see 3, but there's a 4th one down underneath there. These are called receiver controlled switches. These all plug into each channel on your receiver, and this basically just a switch. So when the channel goes active, it basically turns this on, creates a complete path for whatever it is you want to activate. So I have 4 of those in there, controlling the lights, the horn, the camera switching, and all that. And that is how my receiver is controlling all of these things. And of course, like I said, I'm using the Tyrannus to do that, and I can use my Tyrannus to mix certain things, which I have. And one thing I've done is when I switch from my forward camera to my rear facing camera, it automatically turns the backup lights on at the same time. So that was just one minor thing I did in the mixing page in the Tyrannus. And you can do whatever you want. You know, there's all kind of different things. Once you have the ability to start mixing channels, you can do all different sorts of things. Also guys, one of the questions I got a lot in the comments was what servo I was using. This servo right here is a 20, how do they call it, a 20 gram per centimeter all metal servo. It's a very strong servo, all metal gears. There were some questions on how to mount it. Enough questions, in fact, that I did do a separate video on just this servo installation. I think I actually did mention the motor and pinion gear in that same video. But that's what it's using. It fits fine. I won't get into the details because it's all discussed in the prior video, but if you're interested in upgrading it to an all-metal servo, or at least a larger frame servo, then go check out that video as well, and you'll be able to see everything on how to do that. Okay, as I mentioned, this does have a horn, which is a really cool feature because I do like to drive this around my neighborhood. If I see a neighbor outside, it's kind of fun just to drive down to his driveway and maybe pull up and honk the horn. And simply, the way I do that is most of these radios will have a momentary switch like this one, but you push up, when you let go, it automatically goes back, so you can't accidentally leave it on. And it ended up being the perfect switch to use for a horn. That way I don't accidentally leave it on, because if this thing is 300, 400, 500 meters away from you, you don't actually hear it. So if you had a switch that stayed that way and you left it on, you wouldn't know it. So this works really good for activating the horn. So if I want to beep the horn at somebody, I just beep, beep, and there it goes. So I can get their attention. They usually wave at me, and you know, it's all fun. They know I'm just driving around, cruising the neighborhood. All right, one of the questions that was really popular was asking me how I did the FPV system. Originally, this is one major change. Originally, in the first video, the forward camera was actually mounted on the hood on a servo, and when I turned the wheels, the camera would turn on a servo, so it would always aim in the direction that the car was steered towards. And a lot of people really liked that, but then I decided to get away from that because I kept breaking it, and it was just my own stupidity. I wouldn't say don't do it. It's a cool mod, but if you plan on bashing it, you're gonna end up breaking it. It kind of hangs out here, and I just got kind of tired of fixing it. So I really just wanted something I could, you know, keep on there and be a little bit more reliable. But as far as the overall FPV system, guys, what it consists of is we have a forward and backward looking camera. They are Foxeer micro arrows, which they have on-screen display, which means I can get the voltage and the time and even put a craft model in the picture and transmit that voltage back through the goggles. And that way, you know, I can keep an eye on my battery voltage. That way it won't go dead on me in the middle of a run. And how I control that, the forward and backward camera, it's really pretty simple, guys. With one of these receiver controlled switches, all I'm doing is activating a servo, or not a servo, excuse me, a relay, which is, this is nothing more than a 12 volt automotive relay, which has a normally open and a normally closed contact. And I have the video wire running through one set of contacts from the front camera, and the rear camera runs through the other set of contacts, so only one can be activated at a time. So depending on the state of this relay determines which camera is being used at the moment. And both of those cameras go into this relay, but only one video signal comes out, and that signal goes not only to the VTX located here in the back, which is a 600 milliwatt, it's actually adjustable, 25, 200, 600 VTX, but it also goes to a DVR. This is a little run cam DVR. It's a 20 by 20. It's actually made to go in a quad for a 20 by 20 stack, but it's a great little DVR. It just records in standard definition, but it's good to have it on board because you don't get all that static, and it just provides a more decent recording of the drive. So that's pretty much the FPV system, guys. And guys, that's about it. That's everything that's been done over the course of a year since the original video came out, and it has been a super little car. The only thing I've replaced that wasn't, or I should say that was original, was this rear end. This is actually the third rear end. I gotta admit, they're not the most reliable, and I tore the first one up They do come with all metal gears, both front and back. They're metal gears. I took them apart and I verified it. But I eventually tore the back one up. I ordered another one. It was so poorly made, I couldn't even use it. So I ordered another one, and this one here seems to be a lot more reliable, and maybe even better than the original, because it just feels better. But overall, guys, it's been a great little project. Like I say, it's took me nearly a year from the original modification to get to the point where we're at now, and I don't know of anything else I can do to it. And that's one reason I want to go ahead and make this video, is because there's just not much else I can do to it. So the only thing I probably plan on using it for is just driving. I'm not going to probably be doing any more modifications to it. There is some potential for some more modifications. I still have 2 more channels. You know, maybe I could put a winch on it, or maybe add some more lights. I don't know. I've kind of run out of ideas, because there's really not much more room in here to do anything. But it performs great. It's exactly what I was hoping to get out of it, and it makes a great little recon vehicle. This year we're going to the beach. I plan on taking it, and I'm gonna try my hardest to get a solid range test out of it, and hopefully just some cool video driving as far as I can on the beach, and see if we can't get some good scenes in there. Maybe I'll even put an HD camera on top. We'll see how that goes. But you want to drive around your neighborhood, just sit on your front porch with your goggles on and drive around the neighborhood and just kind of see what's going on. Great upgrade, guys. Hopefully some of these ideas will inspire you. I hope they do. Again, check out the link in the description for the full playlist. If there was anything on here that I spoke about, go check it out, see if there's a video related to that particular subject. Until then, guys, that covers it. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. God bless you.